She's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron, and welcome back. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We have a huge plethora of things to go through this week. We have a couple guests coming on to help break down the matchup against the 49ers. So you're going to want to make sure to subscribe because we have a lot of awesome content coming your way. Thanks to everybody out there listening in podcast land. You can download the podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports. You can download it anywhere you'd like. Also, for those that are new, we donate every month to a new charity. So I will be announcing that probably next episode. There's one that I'm getting all ready for, and it should be really exciting. But thank you to everyone. We were able to donate over $75 over to the Thorn organization, which is an Ashton Kutcher foundation that helps prevent human trafficking. So thank you guys all so much. Every listen, 20% of that goes to the organization. So thank you guys so much for listening, for subscribing, rating 5 stars, all of that. Thank you, because we can do some awesome stuff like this. So thank you guys. But today, what we're going to be breaking down is the schedule preview. I was supposed to do this last week, but some stuff came up. Bears Country was supposed to be on, but we'll definitely get them on at another time. So I'm just flying solo for this one. But basically, I want to break down this schedule, but then we're going to be going through some awards. Now, we put together some awards, so anybody who's watching this live or watching this later, definitely want to hear who you think could be winning some of these awards that we have out there. So you want to make sure to stay until the end. But before we get into the schedule, let's talk about a little bit of news, some optimistic news. Lucas Patrick was finally back today after a thumb injury. Now, keep in mind, this is our center. Sam Mustipher, I'm not a big fan of, so it's great to have Lucas Patrick back there. He was seen as the center, but the interesting thing that came up is, according to Nicholas Shapiro, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the first name, from NBC Sports, was reporting that the Bears are actually have some interest in moving him from center and maybe seeing how he is at right guard. Why do the Bears hate Teven Jenkins so much? I feel like the fans, we don't mind Teven Jenkins, but it seems like the Bears, for some reason, whatever it is, there's still some weirdness going on with him being tried out at right guard. I don't know why, but it sounds like they want to at least see, can he be right guard, and do they like him at right guard and Mustipher at center? It's a very interesting thing that we just have to monitor. But also, besides Lucas Patrick, Byron Pringle and Velus Jones are both back. So thank God there's going to be more than 4 receivers out there for the Chicago Bears, hopefully, against the 49ers. But that's about it with news. We'll just kind of stay tuned with what's happening with all the injuries throughout the week as we lead up to the game against the 49ers. But let me start to show the schedule prediction. So I'm doing this, if you're watching, out in Canva. So there's definitely, I'm just kind of editing it. It's better than Paint. I would be doing this in Microsoft Paint if I could, but I am just going to break it down this way. But let's go in here. So overall, for those watching, you can see what I had at the original schedule preview. So when we first got the schedule, I wanted to just give my first impressions of what the Bears are doing and just what I thought of, like, how many wins are we going to get with the Chicago Bears team? Now, my initial response was 7, and I thought 7 was solid. I thought it wasn't too high, wasn't too low. I think depending on how you feel about the Bears, you might love it or you might hate it. But to me, I still kind of feel like that's right. You know, I still like it overall. And where I had us getting wins was the Texans, the Giants, the Lions twice, the Falcons, the Jets, and the Vikings only one time. But let's break this down now. Now that we've seen this team, now that we see what this team is capable of, is this going to change? I think that's the big question here. So week 1, the 49ers. And like I said, we have a lot of awesome podcasts, a lot of shows coming up that we're going to be previewing this. So I don't want to go too far in depth. So I'm just kind of going off of initial thought, just like my emotions and how I feel about this game. And for those watching, you can see I've scheduled preseason. So this is what I'm going to be saying. Then we're going to have actual game predictions like that week, and then what actually happened. So we can track how wrong was I or how right was I when predicting this. So the 49ers, this will be at home. So we start the season with the 49ers, and I saw that Vegas is giving the 49ers like 7 or giving us like 7 points. They really don't like this team, this Chicago Bears team. But I got to be honest, when I look at the 49ers, the only thing that really gets me nervous is their running game. And like I said, I'm treating this emotionally. And after seeing what the Bears did, I feel like they're going to be going crazy. And with my schedule predictions, I said this was a loss, but I'm feeling like this is going to change to a win for right now. This is just how I'm feeling with it. I think that we're going to take over and beat the 49ers. There's a lot of craziness that happens week one. I think the Jags, beat the Indianapolis Colts week one. It was something crazy where the Jags didn't even win a single game the rest of the season. But that week one, they just dominated and everyone thought that the Jags were going to be good. I think that week one, we come away with the dub. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But I feel the Bears might surprise some people and also really come out firing. You have Roquan Smith probably going crazy, wanting to prove his value. But then next, we have the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. And I said this was a loss at the schedule predictions when the schedule came out. And I'm keeping this as an L now after the preseason, after seeing this game. The Packers, to me, I'm not going to say the Bears can beat them until they actually prove it. I don't want to get my hopes up. I live in Wisconsin. It's a terrible existence to be around these Packer fans because they just keep winning. And I feel with Aaron Rodgers, his attitude, I think anytime that he's playing the Bears, I feel he's going to just want to win. He's going to want to rub it in our face. That's why, to me, this is still a loss. But then next week 3, at home, Lovie Smith is coming back to Chicago with the Texans. Now, I think everybody out there, this is a dub. The Texans are bad. This is not a good team. But I will say, this is a sneaky trap game because I was on a game show, like TSS Fantasy has this little game show. And one of the questions was, who has the best winning percentage against the Bears? And turns out the Texans frequently beat the Chicago Bears. Even though that they've been bad, they have our number. Yeah, it's a new team. Yeah, there's a lot of different people out there, but still, it's just an interesting little statistic. I think that this could be a trap game because the Texans will probably run the ball a lot, and Lovie Smith is going to probably give one of those prep speeches like, guys, they're counting us out. We got to make sure that we can win. And I think that the Texans are fired up there, but I can't in good conscience say that this is going to be an L. It's going to be a trap game, and hopefully coming after the Packers, hopefully we don't just overlook this bad team. Now, the following week 4, the Chicago Bears are going out to New York. And when they go out to New York, they're going to be going against the New York Giants, the New York Daniel Joneses. Now, to me, I don't like Daniel Jones. I have Saquon Barkley in one of my fantasy leagues, but overall, I think that this is going to be pretty simple. I don't like the Giants. I don't think they're going to be that good. Yes, they got rid of Joe Judge. And yet again, they might play the Bears a little bit tight, but I still think that this is a dub. I said it was a dub for the schedule release, and I'm going to keep that. So right now, 3-1. 3-1 so far. This is a good potential start. Yet again, we have to beat the 49ers, but still, this could be a good okay, the Bears are for real. If they're 3-1 right out the gate, I think people are going to start being like, hey, we had them at 3 wins for the entire season. What's going on here? But now let's go to week 5 at Minnesota. So going against the Minnesota Vikings. And to me, I think that this Vikings team is going to be very interesting. With a new offensive coach, I think that this offense is going to be humming. I think they're going to be very dangerous from the offensive side. But the big question that I feel nobody is talking about is this defense. Mike Zimmer was phenomenal at scheming things up. He could just have anybody out there, even when Kendricks wasn't playing. That defense still looked good, and they were always good on third downs. I think stats say that you can't guarantee that that's going to be good year in and year out. But for Zimmer, it seemed to always be consistent. So I think that this Vikings team is low-key pretty good. And I think this week, it's going to be an L for the Chicago Bears. One thing that gets me nervous too is Akeem Hicks was the Viking killer. Every time that Akeem Hicks was out there, guys, Akeem Hicks would just destroy Dalvin Cook. I wish that we had the stat for how many yards per carry Dalvin Cook had when Akeem Hicks was on the field. Because every time Hicks was out there, it was like 2 point something. And as soon as he would come off, it was like 5 point something. So to me, 3-2 ain't bad. Now, Washington. The Washington football team or the Commanders, to me, I still like the Washington football team. But the Washington football team, I'll just keep going with that. I had them as a loss when the schedule came out. I was nervous about this defense, but the more that we're seeing this Commanders team, the more I'm feeling a lot more confident. I think that the Chicago Bears are going to be ready for Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz is going to give you a play where you have to take the ball over. He's going to make a mistake, and this defense has shown that in preseason, in training, that if you make a mistake, they're going to make you pay. So I'm switching this from an L over to a dub. So right now, I'm adding 2 more wins for this Bears team right now. And 4-2, let's freaking go, right? Let me know down in the comments. Do you think this is too optimistic? Do you think this is too pessimistic? Because I feel that these are all winnable games. Yet again, when the week starts, it could be different. But I think at home versus Washington, you have the home field advantage. You have knowing that Carson Wentz is going to do something bad. I like this. And the defense of Washington has not looked that good in the preseason. Now, next week, we're going out to the Patriots. And it's similar to the Packers. It always seems like Bill Belichick has our number. I love the idea of having Mac Jones versus Justin Fields. And I'll tell you this much. Justin Fields is probably going to be crushing it. People are saying this guy is so talented. I will think that some people will say if only he had a better offensive line, better this. I could still see people maybe saying that, even if this offense is looking good, because they're going to be rolling him out and saying, well, they didn't have to if the offensive line was better. I think this game, unfortunately, is going to be a loss. I just don't think that we're going to be able to beat the Patriots, and I think it's going to be very challenging and difficult for us overall. Even though that I do think that the Patriots are low-key not that good this year. They lost so many players on defense. Matt Patricia's calling plays on offense. I just don't think that the Patriots team will be that good, but I still fear the whole Bill Belichickian always winning against us. So I'm going with an L, even though I think we might actually be the better team. Now, next week is at Dallas. And this is where I still had a loss, and I'm still going to go with a loss here. Dallas, with the high-powered offense, I think we're going to play them tight, but with it being at Dallas, I'm going to go with the L right here. I'm going to kind of stick with that, but I do think this is a better game than I think a lot of people would think initially. I don't really buy into this Dallas defense, this offense with Tyron Smith going down. You have to see what Jason Peters can do. We saw him last year. He looked good, but the dude's 40 years old. He's Hall of Famer, looked good at 39, and he said he's actually keeping up and he's in shape, but it'll be up in the air. I think it's going to be a close battle that we ultimately end up losing at Dallas. Now, the final one for week 9. So week 9, for those watching, it's my little columns that we got out here, versus the Dolphins. I initially had this as a loss. I'm tempted to make this a dub because I still don't buy Tua, but I will say Tua was looking good. This Dolphins defense is good. The offense is looking solid. And the Dolphins are proving that they could be one of the better teams or one of the best teams coming out of this difficult AFC. And I feel especially these AFC teams are going to be looking at the NFC as we need some wins. The AFC is too good. I got to start grabbing some wins. And I go back and forth because it's going to be a little bit colder. So can Tua really throw it deep when it's colder? Is the cold going to affect this team at all? That's something that I'm at least looking out for. But ultimately, I feel like this is going to be an L again. So 3 straight losses after a good beginning of the year. So this is the halftime point for this overall schedule. Now, honestly, I don't think it's that bad. We're 4-5, which to a lot of people that might seem bad, but I think 4-5 pretty solid. 4 wins. A lot of people are thinking that we would only get 3. So I like it so far. But let's go over to the second half of the year. Now, what we have here is the Lions are coming to Chicago in week 10. I had this as a win, and honestly, I'm going to keep this as a win. I know for those watching, it's red. I'm just going to switch this over because we have a big losing streak going on. I think that we rally the troops and we beat Detroit. But I honestly think Detroit is going to be very sneaky and difficult. They win in the trenches, and our weak point to me is the trenches. I'm nervous about that because I think that Lions are going to be fighting. They're going to be trying to win in this division and prove their dominance. So that's why I kind of go back and forth with, I do feel like we're going to lose to the Lions, even though, yes, it's the Lions. They play us really tight, and they are a sneaky good team with one of the best offensive lines in football and a good defensive line, and just the grit and determination. Ultimately, though, I think we end up winning and we go 5-5. And this is my favorite part of the schedule because now you go Lions, Falcons, and Jets. Yes, it's away at the Falcons. Yes, it's away at the Jets. But guys, the Falcons and Jets, we don't really have to cover them too much. I feel like the Falcons, there's so many questions at their quarterback position. I just don't think that they're going to be that good. Yes, they snuck out a lot of wins and they were close to being a playoff team last year. This team is not good. So I think overall, the Bears are going to find a way to beat the Falcons. And yes, it's going to be Ryan Pace's team as the Falcons also signed Kyrus Tonga. I think that this Bears team is going to roll over the Falcons. I think they're going to roll over the Jets. I think there's so many question marks with this Jets team that I just don't see them taking that next step. I don't believe in Zach Wilson. And proud to say that he's not a Chicago Bear. That's why I love Justin Fields. I just don't think that the Jets are going to be that good, even though that they have a lot of weapons at wide receiver. I think we go from a 3-game losing streak and we're flipping it, going to a 3-game winning streak. And then we get the Green Bay Packers at home at week 13. And to me, unfortunately, I'm going to keep this as an L. Yet again, I'm not betting the Bears beating the Packers until they do it. And I hope they prove me wrong. I think I saw that some stat out there that every first-year head coach has won for the Chicago Bears, the past 8 or 9 have won at least one game against the Packers in their first season. So I hope that streak continues. But for right now, in my predictions, I'm still going with 2 losses. I think that the wide receivers are going to affect Aaron Rodgers a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that great of a setback for the Packers. I think Doubs, their wide receiver, is solid. Sammy Watkins is okay. Lazard, I feel they might have a decent connection, but I think that Matt LaFleur is able to at least scheme up some sort of offense that is able to help them out. And now we're going into the bye week. Week 14, bye week, feeling a little good, right? We're ready to just kind of start ending out the rest of the season. And, a lot of optimism with this team so far, and we have to end out the season. This is going to be interesting. Depending on where the Bears are at, depending on where the NFC is at, I think you might see a regroup and just a spurt of energy with this Bears team. But unfortunately, we have two really tough home games against the Eagles and against the Bills. The Bills to me are the best team in the AFC, and I'm going to keep that as a loss. And the Eagles to me, I think that they're the best team in the NFC. I know Jalen Hurts is the question mark, but I thought that Jalen Hurts has shown you that he is a good enough quarterback. So to me, I'm still keeping this as two losses because they're two of the best teams in the entire NFL. Now, also, I think I'm kind of cursed with Matt Nagy because he was so bad after the bye week. So I'm still going just two losses right there. So you start off right out of the bye week with two losses, and now you end the season. And like I said, I feel like we are going to lose one of these games to the Lions. It's at Detroit, at the Lions. Maybe the first encounter that we have with the Lions, we're going to lose. I think that we split the series 1-1. I really do. And I hate saying that because it's the freaking Lions. But I do think that we split the series 1-1. The Fighting Dan Campbells are going to be coming out to play. And it's the little brother. But right now, the little brother is ready to fight. The little brother is saying, I could beat you in the trenches. You guys don't have that. You guys still don't know who your right guard is. You guys still don't like Teven Jenkins for some reason. I think that they ultimately take one of the games against us, and it pains me to change that. That is one of my where we went from a win to a loss. Now, final week against the Vikings. And ultimately here, I say we keep the dub. I was tempted to have this as a loss. Like I said, I think the Vikings are a low-key really good team because I think that this offense is going to be humming. And I just think that this Vikings team is going to be really good. But I think we take one of these games and maybe at the end, like I said, I think the Vikings are good. I think that maybe they're not even playing their starters out here and we get a dub. I think ultimately we pull one of these out. And Reload out there in the comments, yeah. It pains me. It pains me to not put two wins against the Lions, but we'll see. The big question with their team is Jared Goff. You look at that team up and down. Amon-Ra St. Brown is good, and this defense I think is going to be very difficult to play against. And I think Jeffrey Okudah might have a slight rebound. But overall, this is kind of just my overall predictions. Let me know what you guys think. I know that the Lions one is going to turn some heads. But ultimately 8-9. This is still where I see the Bears. I see us as an 8-win team. I see us 7, 8, 9-win team, which let's be honest here, guys, that's a lot better than what a lot of the national media is going to say that we're going to win like 2. But I really do feel like the Chicago Bears team, it's a year away. And to me, if we win 8 games, I'm excited. The way that I'm seeing this team is like the 2015 Chicago Cubs, where they call up Chris Bryant. And there's so much excitement for the Chicago Bears team or the Cubs team. They make the playoffs. And after they lose in the playoffs, people go, well, this isn't our year. That's how I feel with this team because I think we are going to win some games. We're going to turn some heads. Justin Fields, to me, is going to take a next step. Is it the next step? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be a superstar all of a sudden or like show superstardom, but I think he's going to show his star power. I think he's going to be there in the star competition, and people are going to start to say next offseason, it's not can he play? They're going to say, who wants to join Justin Fields as he takes his team to the next level? It's going to be some exciting stuff. But I'm excited to see this year. But guys, let's go into this award show. I'm excited for this. If you're watching out here, I want to know what you guys think about some of these awards out here. Now, let's start this off with the first award. Now, the way that I'm going to do this, and I did this last year as well with Johnny PayPal, but we predict what's going to happen in the preseason. We're going to predict, and the midseason, we're going to kind of see where these awards are at and change it if we need to. At the end of the season, officially give these awards out to the players. So the first award out there the most improved Chicago Bear. So going from see who makes the most progress from last year over to this year. Now, first person that kind of comes to mind, I want to look at the defense. And Travis Gibson is someone that shows up. But honestly, I haven't seen much out of him as much as I wanted to. So to me, I don't think he's going to be on that most improved. And I think too, you could even throw some of the first year players that we have, like a Lucas Patrick, like a Nicholas Morrow potentially for this most improved. But guys, I think to me, there's one answer out there. Let me know down in the comments who you think could be most improved. But I think it's as simple as Justin Fields. Yep. And right now we're getting the Justin Fields in the comments. Yeah, I think that it's pretty simple. It sounds like so basic to just say Justin Fields, but seriously, we're already seeing that. We're already seeing him be able to kind of take it to that next level. And I think a wild card. I think to me, it's Justin Fields number one, but Cole Kmet number two. I see more people talking about this third-year jump for tight ends. A lot of tight ends could get that third-year jump and move up. And I think that overall, not Teven Jenkins, Cole Kmet is someone to watch. But also we have a comment out here for Teven Jenkins. And yeah, I think Teven Jenkins could be out there. I think that my big question is, why do the Bears it seems like they still don't like Teven. I don't know why, but it still doesn't seem it. And also Willie with a good one. Equanimous St. Brown, that is a really good one for most improved because he wasn't looking that good, or he wasn't that good with the Packers. And now he could be our number two. Now he can start turning heads. And yeah, I don't think he's going to get 1,000 yards, but still, you're going from this fifth string wide receiver. Now he can start turning heads as people going, wow, EQ can actually play. Reload out here saying also maybe even a Velus Jones, probably, yeah, throughout the year, getting better and better and better, showing a little bit of progress. But let's go down to Rookie of the Year. And maybe Reload, that's what you're talking about for Rookie of the Year. But also, actually, right before that, Adam Dobbs makes a really good point. What about Alex Leatherwood? Because that could be another most improved. I still think he's going to probably be a backup and just probably not get too much pressure, but still very good point out there. But let's go over to Rookie of the Year. And I think Rookie of the Year, we have a lot. I was not going to put Rookie of the Year. We didn't have Rookie of the Year last year, but this is where I'm excited for this because I'm seeing some Briskers. I'm seeing some Velus Joneses out there. I'm going Brisker. I think you have Kyler Gordon. I think you have, I think that Braxton Jones is low key, could be somebody that you want out there. There's a lot of good players, especially since we have 15 freaking rookies. We have so much youth on this team. And yeah, go to the defensive side of the ball. I think Kyler Gordon is not going to showcase as much, but I think Brisker, I think overall when we see Brisker, it's going to be, I think he's just going to show that he's a leader. I think at the end of the season, we talk about Brisker as this good player that's going to be leading a part of this defense. I don't think that it's going to be Eddie Jackson's secondary. I think Brisker is going to step up and maybe like a Jalen Jones, and it's going to be their secondary, and that's how we're going to talk about it. No shade thrown at Kyler Gordon, but I still feel like it could be a good player. So we have some Braxton Jones is a good one. Sanborn, my boy. There we go. I love me some Sanborn for sure. But yeah, Brisker to me seems to be the guy. But let's go to the Brent Urban Award. So for those that go, I've heard this name. What is this? This is the award that we had last year where Brent Urban, the defensive tackle, just seemed to be that guy that you have no idea that he's on the roster, but then he just comes out and makes a couple great plays. Kind of this under the radar player that steps up and makes some big time plays. Right now, Adam with a great one. EQ could definitely be that guy where we don't see him. Even though that he's listed as the number two, I still don't think of him as that number two. I don't know if you guys are the same way. Like, I don't see him as that player, but you would still see some catches and go, dang, look at him. Look at him making those grabs out there. Look at him making those plays. I think the wide receivers, even like a Dante Pettis, is interesting. And also, Willie Beeman brings up Armon Watts. Armon Watts was definitely someone that also just popped up. He is a three technique that we haven't had as our backup to Justin Jones. You're going to see Jones out there, and then Armon Watts is going to be that backup, and he's going to be able to get a lot of those sacks out there and lives up to this whole Brent Urban award as being this backup player that can make some big plays. Another person that I have on my radar is Dane Cruikshank. We saw Dane Cruikshank out there a decent amount, even though he's kind of this backup safety. We saw him play in the slot. We saw him play in the box, and he could be another low-key, under-the-radar type of a player. I'm also thinking too, maybe even a Ryan Griffin, the backup tight end, where all of a sudden he's going out there, he's making some plays, he's making some catches, and he'll get a little bit more production than any of the other tight ends out there. And now I got to decide. This is going to be hard because I feel like we have so much depth. It's a good problem to have where we go, man, look at all these backups that we got that can potentially make an impact. But I think in the spirit of Brent Urban, I'm going Armon Watts. I think that Armon Watts ends up making an impact. And I think that ultimately we're going to start, especially because we didn't even have him on preseason. I think we're going to be looking at this going, Armon Watts. Some of us going, who is that guy? But if you listen to the show, you'll be like, yep, he's Brent Urban. He's our Brent Urban of the year. I think he's going to turn some heads. I think this defensive tackle group I'm not a big fan of. And I think Armon Watts is going to have that good kind of growth. So really great comment down there. But now, not everything has to be sunshine and rainbows. The Cody Parkey Award for most disappointing. I don't even know. I might have actually spelled Cody Parkey's name wrong. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But Cody Parkey for most disappointing player of the year. This to me, actually, out of all these, this is my most difficult one because last year I said Tariq Cohen because I saw Tariq Cohen limping. I saw him at training camp and I'm like, yeah, he's going to be out for the rest of the season. You just saw him. He wasn't ready. He limped like Dobbins did. If you saw that video out there. And yeah, like I agree with Cup out here. Like I like a lot of these players. It's going to be very disappointing. It's like, who can be disappointing? I think Adam makes a good point. Khalil Herbert. That's a really good choice. Khalil Herbert, Kindle Vildor. I think Herbert could be that disappointing player because he didn't look that great. And that's our boy. And I'm kind of leaning towards that. Another player that I had on my list, and I hate that he's on my list, but Teven Jenkins is another player that's on my potential for disappointment. Yet again, we're being pessimistic here, then we'll get super optimistic later. But I think that Teven Jenkins is on my list because why do the Bears not like him? There's like, we hear the trade rumors, and I think it was Courtney Cronin that said, listen, I know he's not being traded, but I'm telling you, there are people that are calling about him. They have gotten an offer for multiple draft picks. It might not be the Bears that are trying to trade him, but people have called and people had offered. And you hear Lucas Patrick potentially being that guard. Why is it? And you hear all these rumors swirling about Teven Jenkins. Why is that continuously going on? And Bears Bones, good one with Riley Reif. He's already kind of up there with disappointing. We thought that he was going to be right tackle, and we're just not seeing him out there. So very good call. I'm trying to think of anyone on the defense. I know we have a lot of offensive disappointments, and on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, Kindle Vildor is definitely one that's come up a couple times too. But also, can we be disappointed in Kindle Vildor when we're already disappointed in him? He's almost like a Brent Urban award where, like, dude, if you just play, even if you're a starter, he's still like that low on the totem pole for us. And I can't even think of like a Robert Quinn being on that disappointing. I don't think he's going to produce the same way. I mean, and I hate saying this because I love Trevis Gibson, but Trevis Gibson could even be on that because here's this guy going with the hand in the dirt, and he hasn't shown much in preseason. We also got Nicholas Morrow for disappointing. And oh man, I hate this one. Why did I even add this? Why did I even add this as one? I am going. I think it's got to be Khalil Herbert, and I hope that I'm wrong with this because I love Khalil. I He showed so much, but he hasn't shown much in this system. So Khalil Herbert to me is on the list for most disappointing. I hope midseason we look at this and we go, what are we talking about? And so we'll move on from the pessimism. We will move on to offensive MVP. All right, guys. So who do we have as our offensive MVP? Somebody who is carrying this offense. To me, I'm looking at the offensive line. I don't think there's going to be anyone there. I think Cole Kmet is going to be better. I think he's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be one of those guys. I think though you get to three people. I think it's the big three. You got Monty, you got Darnell, and you have Justin Fields. And keep in mind too, this is also a fan awarded gift. So this is our award. And I think too, when we look at offensive MVPs, Justin Fields to me is just the obvious choice. He's going to be the guy that is the ringleader of this offense. Everything's going to be going through him. But I think that Monty is a very interesting piece in this offensive MVP, because if Monty is the offensive MVP, it means that the offense is running through him. I think that there is a good chance that he can be that guy if they're running the ball through him. And anytime that we need yards, we just go, all right, hand it off to Monty and give him the ball. So we'll see, but I think it's going to be easy. I hate doing this, but Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is going to be the MVP. And Willie makes a good point, which is Monty is the identity of this. And I think that Monty is going to be solid, but yeah, I still think no matter what, Fields is going to be owning this. Fields is going to be the MVP. He's going to be the most valuable player out there. And it's hard too, because quarterback is the most valuable position out there. Maybe I need to change it to just like non-QB. So I'll just put Justin Fields and I'll put Monty as the second piece. But actually, even as I say this, I could even see a Darnell Mooney taking that number one identity for the wide receivers, just as that trusty guy where people start blitzing and you have Justin Fields with nonverbal changes at the line of scrimmage that a lot of next level quarterbacks can do with their wide receivers. So, I'm not even going to have the sub one, but Darnell Mooney could be that as well. I have high hopes for Darnell and the Justin Fields connection. But now we have one a little bit more difficult, the defensive MVP. So let me know, who is your defensive MVP? Because to me, defensive MVP, is this another one that's going to be a little bit easy? Is it going to be Roquan Smith? That's where you have a ticked off Roquan Smith. You have a Roquan Smith that's hungry, that is going, you don't think I'm the highest paid linebacker in the league? You don't think I'm valuable? Let me show you how valuable I can be. The dude might get 3 sacks, 2 sacks and an interception week 1 against the 49ers in front of Fred Warner to say, I'm better than you. I deserve your Pro Bowl spot. Move out of the way. I'm the best linebacker in the NFC. But yeah, I think that Roquan Smith definitely up there. Robert Quinn, I think, can get production, but to be the most valuable player out there, he could potentially do it because of his ability to affect the passer. And if we don't have a good pass rush option, let's say Trevis Gibson isn't going to look as good. Al-Qadim Muhammad is someone who really isn't a true pass rusher. To me, he's an effort guy. He can stuff the run. He's just a good football player. And I hate saying that. Like, he's a football player. Like, that's a John Grudenism. But he is. He's just a good all-around player. And I think Robert Quinn, you saw just his ability to affect people on third down. I think that's a very important piece. But Jalen Johnson is another person that could be that defensive MVP, because Jalen Johnson is, if he can be a lockdown corner, you go, man, we don't have to worry about anybody else. Low key could be up there. But the only other player, I don't think that we're going to be seeing Bojack, Eddie Jackson up here anytime soon. But even a Brisker could be somebody that is patrolling the middle of the field and could be a low key person. But honestly, I still think it's Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith, he's going to be proving it. He's going to have a beast of a year. I think even if he's a little bit hurt, he's going to be just trucking through and just trying to dominate. He is going to be a man on a mission. It's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be a fun ride, to say the least. But now, ladies and gents, down to the last award out here. And this is favorite player. So this doesn't mean the best player. This doesn't mean the greatest player. Last year, the favorite player award went to Thomas Graham Jr. So it just has to be somebody that whenever they do something, so the criteria is whenever they play well, whenever they make a play, you just get more happy than any other player out there. So it could be just a block. It could be a catch. You just jump out of your seat and you go, Dante Pettis with the catch. And you just get more excited when this player makes a play. And to me, this is an awesome one to think about. Who are your favorites to be playing out there? So to me, first and foremost, I love Darnell Mooney. I still love it. And I love him even more this year because I want to see Darnell Mooney prove the haters wrong. There's still a lot of Bears fans, a lot of Bears coverage out there that's like, he can never be a number one. He's too small. And I get that because he is a small player. But if he can be that reliable guy whenever Fields is feeling something, can he just throw it up to him? Can he throw it in a little slot and get it out to him so that he can make the big play? I always like seeing that. But also on the offensive line, it's like Braxton Jones. I'm excited to see like Braxton Jones, it would be an awesome guy to watch just because this guy could be our left tackle of the future. And even some of our favorite players might even be Teven Jenkins, because we just want to see the dude play well. And we're just sick and tired. I saw up at the top, Donald out here was kind of saying like, yeah, there's all these media outlets. There's all this craziness going on with Teven Jenkins. Like, it'd be awesome to just see him play. Like, there's so many likable players out here. And I've always liked Travis Gibson, and defensive line, not many other ones out there, but even like corners, Brisker is someone I really like. Lots and lots of great players, but I got to just think, and to me, I don't have, for those watching on YouTube, I don't have my Wisconsin Badger mug with me, but guys, there's one player out there that every time he makes a play, you better believe I'm screaming at the TV. I'm hooting and hollering, but also just a little bit about me as, outside of the show. Whenever I watch the game, I'm watching it with family. We live in Wisconsin. We're watching the game somewhere, whether my place, my parents' place, or just virtually. When we watch the game, a lot of us went to Wisconsin. So when we see if we see Sanborn making a play, you better believe we are jumping out of our seats. So to me, Jack Sanborn to me is going to be my favorite player to be watching this year. I'm going to be rooting. My entire family is going to be rooting, hooting and hollering for Sanborn. So that's why he's going to be my favorite player prediction. So we'll see. We'll keep in touch with just where these are at. So in the midseason, normally we do this during the bye week, but our bye week is crazy. So I'll have to see. Maybe this is going to be week 14, which I still have to think through. Midseason, bye week. So you want to make sure to stay tuned here. You want to make sure have that out here. But just as a run through, most improved Justin Fields, rookie of the year Brisker, Brent Urban under the radar, going to go to Armon Watts. Most disappointing, Khalil Herbert. That could be that, or even like Teven Jenkins, but I put down Khalil Herbert. Offensive MVP, Justin Fields. Defensive MVP, Roquan Smith. And the favorite player, the man from Wisconsin, the land of the cheese, Mr. Jack Sanborn. Ladies and gents, that's a great way to kind of preview into this. What we're going to be going through this week. I still have to work out some of the kinks, but potentially we'll be going live tomorrow with Mikey Betts going through how you can make some money off of the Chicago Bears. You don't want to listen to me. You want to listen to the man that does this, Mikey Betts. So also we're going to be breaking down the 49ers. I have some people coming on. I have Steph Sanchez from 49 Karat Gold that breaks down the 49ers to kind of give us a non-biased, a 49ers opinion of the Bears, the 49ers, and she'll help break down what to watch for. And then on Thursday, we're going to go through the actual total breakdown of the Bears versus the 49ers. Maybe I changed my pick to an L. Maybe I just feel better about it being a dub. We'll see. But guys, thank you so much. Make sure to like and subscribe. And Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.